The passage describes a section of a snooker semifinal match in which demonstrated the qualities that have made him one of the greatest players in the history of the sport, while struggled to consistently match his level. To fully understand the meaning and significance of the passage, it is helpful to break down each sentence and examine the snooker concepts being referenced. Ronnie O'Sullivan's elite break building. The opening statement says that Ronnie O'Sullivan continued to showcase elite break building throughout the semifinal. In snooker, break building refers to the skill of scoring a large number of points in a single visit to the table without missing a shot. A player begins a break by potting a red ball and then alternates between reds and colored balls according to the rules. The better a player is at positioning the cue ball and planning several shots ahead, the more likely they are to compile high breaks. When the passage describes O'Sullivan's break building as elite, it means he was operating at an exceptionally high standard. He was not simply potting balls, he was controlling the table, positioning the cue ball perfectly, and creating opportunities to score heavily. This level of break building is one of the defining characteristics of world-class snooker players. The use of the word continued suggests that this was not a one-off performance. Instead, O'Sullivan had already been displaying excellent break building earlier in the tournament or match and was maintaining that high level in the semifinal. Consistency is particularly important in professional snooker because even a single lapse in concentration can change the course of a frame. Heavy scoring visits. The passage goes on to say that O'Sullivan was compiling a string of heavy scoring visits. A visit in snooker is a player's turn at the table. A visit begins when the player comes to the table and ends when they miss, commit a foul, or finish the frame. A heavy scoring visit means a turn in which the player accumulates a large number of points. Instead of scoring only a few points before missing, O'Sullivan was repeatedly producing substantial breaks. These might have been breaks of 50, 60, 70, or even more points. The phrase, "a string of," indicates that these high-scoring visits happened repeatedly. This is significant because it suggests sustained dominance. Rather than relying on isolated moments of brilliance, O'Sullivan was continually placing pressure on his opponent. In professional snooker, heavy scoring visits often have a psychological impact. When a player watches their opponent repeatedly score large breaks, they may become frustrated because opportunities to play become increasingly limited. Long periods sitting in the chair can make it difficult to stay mentally engaged and ready when a chance finally arrives. Wu Yi's opportunity in frame 3. The next sentence says that Wu Yi took his chance to pull one back in frame 3. A frame is the basic unit of scoring in snooker. Matches are made up of multiple frames, and the player who wins the required number of frames wins the match. The expression, "pull one back," means that Wu managed to win a frame after falling behind. If O'Sullivan had won the earlier frames, Wu's success in frame 3 allowed him to reduce the deficit and remain competitive. This sentence highlights an important aspect of snooker. Even when one player is dominating, opportunities can still arise. A missed shot, a tactical error, or a momentary lapse in concentration can provide the opponent with a chance to respond. Wu deserves credit for taking that opportunity. Many players become discouraged when facing an opponent who is producing outstanding snooker. Winning frame 3 demonstrates that Wu remained focused and capitalized on the opening he was given. Long potting difficulties. The passage then states that Wu remained troubled by his long potting. This is a crucial detail because long potting is one of the most important attacking skills in modern snooker. A long pot occurs when the cue ball and object ball are separated by a significant distance. These shots are generally more difficult because there is less margin for error in aiming and cueing. Top players often use long pots to gain control of a frame. A successful long pot can immediately create a scoring opportunity and allow a player to begin building a break. The statement suggests that Wu was struggling in this area throughout the match. Although he managed to win frame 3, his long potting problems persisted. This weakness likely affected him in several ways. Missed scoring opportunities. When chances appeared, he may have failed to pot difficult opening reds. Loss of table control. Missing long pots can leave balls available for an opponent. Reduced confidence. Repeated misses often cause players to become hesitant. Greater tactical pressure. If a player lacks confidence in long pots, they may choose more defensive shots, limiting scoring chances. Against a player of O'Sullivan's quality, long potting errors are especially costly. Every missed opportunity risks giving one of the game's greatest break builders a chance to take control. The Rocket's style of play. The passage next refers to O'Sullivan as the Rocket. The Rocket is O'Sullivan's famous nickname. It reflects his extraordinary speed around the table and his ability to score quickly and fluently. Unlike some players who take considerable time over each shot, O'Sullivan often plays at a naturally fast pace. However, his speed does not usually come at the expense of accuracy. Instead, it is a product of exceptional cue ball control, confidence, and instinctive understanding of the game. The nickname has become synonymous with exciting, attacking snooker. When fans hear the Rocket, they immediately think of spectacular breaks, rapid scoring, and entertaining performances. In this passage, using the nickname helps emphasize the familiarity of O'Sullivan's dominance. His performance was characteristic of the style that has made him one of the sport's biggest stars. Building frame-winning breaks around the black. The passage says that O'Sullivan repeatedly built frame-winning breaks around the black. This is a technical observation about how he was constructing his breaks. In snooker, colored balls have different point values. Yellow equals 2 points, green equals 3 points, brown equals 4 points, blue equals 5 points, pink equals 6 points, black equals 7 points. The black ball is worth the most points. Consequently, players try to position the cue ball so they can repeatedly pot a red followed by the black. When a player consistently scores reds and blacks, they accumulate points very quickly. For example, red plus black equals 8 points. Repeating that sequence 10 times yields 80 points before the colors are finally cleared. By building around the black, O'Sullivan was maximizing scoring efficiency. His cue ball control allowed him to remain in ideal positions near the black spot and continue collecting high-value points. The phrase, frame-winning breaks, indicates that these visits were so productive that they effectively secured frames. Once a player establishes a sufficiently large lead, the opponent may have little realistic chance of recovering. This detail highlights not only O'Sullivan's potting ability but also his positional play. Potting balls is important, but maintaining position on the black repeatedly requires exceptional precision. A composed scoring display. The passage then describes O'Sullivan's performance as a composed scoring display. The word composed suggests calmness, control, and confidence. High-level snooker involves immense pressure. Semifinals often take place before large audiences, with significant prize money and ranking points at stake. Under such circumstances, even elite players can become nervous or rushed. However, O'Sullivan's performance appeared controlled and measured. A composed display involves careful shot selection, precise cue ball control, emotional stability, consistent concentration, efficient break construction. Rather than forcing difficult shots unnecessarily, he seemed to be making intelligent decisions and executing them smoothly. This composure is one of the hallmarks of championship-level snooker. Great players often make difficult tasks appear easy because they remain calm under pressure. Establishing a commanding lead. The final part of the passage explains that this performance gave O'Sullivan a commanding 3-1 lead at the interval. A 3-1 lead means O'Sullivan had won 3 frames while Wu had won 1. The term commanding indicates that the lead was significant and that O'Sullivan had established clear control over the match. Although a 2-frame advantage may not seem enormous in some sports, in snooker it can be highly influential, particularly when one player is performing much better than the other. Several factors contribute to why the lead is described as commanding. Momentum. O'Sullivan was scoring heavily and playing confidently. Consistency. He was repeatedly producing large breaks. Opponent struggles. Wu was having problems with long potting. Psychological pressure. Trailing against a player of O'Sullivan's stature is difficult. The lead reflected not only the scoreline but also the balance of play. O'Sullivan appeared to be dictating the match. The importance of the interval. The passage mentions that the score stood at 3-1 at the interval. An interval is a scheduled break in play. Intervals serve several purposes. Allow players to rest, provide time to regroup mentally, offer opportunities for tactical reflection, give spectators a break. For Wu Yi's, the interval would have been particularly important. It provided a chance to assess what was going wrong, especially regarding long potting. For O'Sullivan, the interval offered an opportunity to maintain focus and ensure that his strong start continued after play resumed. In many snooker matches, intervals can be turning points. A player who is struggling may return refreshed and perform much better, while a dominant player must avoid losing concentration. Overall meaning of the passage. Taken as a whole, the passage paints a picture of a semifinal session largely controlled by Ronnie O'Sullivan. Several key themes emerge: dominance through scoring, O'Sullivan's ability to compile large breaks repeatedly prevented Wu from gaining momentum. Technical superiority. His success around the black demonstrated outstanding positional play and break-building expertise. Consistency. Rather than relying on isolated moments, he maintained a high level across multiple frames. Wu's resilience. Despite being under pressure, Wu managed to win frame 3 and avoid a complete sweep of the session. Wu's difficulties. Persistent long potting problems limited his ability to challenge consistently. Psychological control. O'Sullivan's calm, composed approach reinforced his authority over the match. By the time the interval arrived, the scoreboard reflected what had happened on the table. O'Sullivan's superior break building, efficient scoring, and tactical control had earned him a deserved 3-1 advantage. Wu remained in contention thanks to his frame 3 victory, but he needed significant improvement, particularly in long potting, if he hoped to overturn the deficit. In essence, the passage highlights a classic example of elite snooker performance. Ronnie O'Sullivan combined precision, composure, and high scoring to establish control of the semifinal, while Wu Yi's showed flashes of resistance but struggled to consistently impose himself on the match. The result was a session in which O'Sullivan's mastery of break building and scoring efficiency proved decisive, giving him a strong platform from which to pursue victory.